It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy December. It's officially Christmas season, so now you can listen to the Christmas station, Jason. When you're not here on the Full Court Press, you can turn on the Christmas station and not be upset.
It is now morally justified, or at least morally acceptable, to listen to Christmas news. And to be honest, Black Friday is when I consider it to be all right.
As soon as Thanksgiving is done, then it's the green light.
If you're listening to Christmas music on November 1st, you're a terrible person.
It's got the Christmas spirit bubbling over. You need more room.
No, it is a false Christmas spirit. You are premature and are a terrible person at heart. And I definitely mean that. I'm not being sarcastic at all.
So we were talking about Utah State football last hour. We're going to carry a little bit over into this hour because there's been a lot of discussion and curiosity about bowl season. Now, the season is now done. Utah State is 6-6. They will go bowling because now that the regular season has concluded, yes, there are some more games to be played, but that's not going to really change if there's a team that might be bowl eligible or not. So there are enough teams for the available spots for the bowl season. So Utah State will go bowling. It's just a question as to where they will go, when they will go, and against whom. So we don't know that. But during the break, I went and dug through my stuff from what the Mountain West gave us last summer, and I need to clarify. It's not often when I'm wrong, Jason, but when I am, I'm going to let you know so we can clarify, because I know a lot of you rely on everything that I say as the gospel truth. So I apologize for leading you slightly astray last hour. So last hour I said that the bowls are kind of connected to the standings of the final standings in the Mountain West. And that's really not entirely true. There is a pecking order, but it's not based on standings. It's based on the bowls themselves. So the bowls, there's a priority in the Mountain West with their bowl tie-ins. Who has first priority to choose the team that they want? Then there's another bowl that has priority to choose the team that they want, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So obviously, the first in the pecking order is the college football playoff, obviously. And then after that, most people would know that it's the LA Bowl who gets to host, who gets the first pick. Basically, the Mountain West champion, if that team doesn't make it to the college football playoff. I mean, last year Boise goes to the playoffs, so they took UNLV. If I remember correctly, they went because that's who the LA Bowl took the runner-up. And then you have the Rate Bowl, which is a Big 10, Big 12 tie-in, but if they have an open slot, then they're given, they get inserted into the process, and they can take a Mountain West team. And then after that, you basically have four bowls kind of wrapped into one, who I don't know what the pecking order is, but I guess ESPN just gets to say what they will do. And there are other qualifications that they try and factor in, like, you know, a bunch of things, geography, and if you've played in this one bowl game a bunch of times, maybe they'll try and get you in a different bowl game. But those four bowl games being the Hawaii Bowl, New Mexico Bowl, Potato Bowl, and I think what was the Bahama Bowls, it just says the ESPN events thing, and I think that's just a former Bahamas Bowl, which this indicates that they're thinking they're going to play in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So somewhere in that one. So those are the four that kind of get the ESPN will work with a group of teams to get them into the best bowl game matchup, among other things. And then after those four, again, the Hawaii, New Mexico, Idaho, and Bahamas Bowl, after that, it's the Arizona Bowl who gets last pickings among Mountain West teams. Although all of this only comes out to if you're assuming the Rate Bowl doesn't have a Mountain West team, assuming that they aren't inserted in this equation, that's 6 bowl games for 7 bowl eligible Mountain West teams. So I imagine Hawaii is going to be in the Hawaii Bowl. So,
usually they are.
But we'll see. But Utah State could end up in any of the New Mexico, Idaho, or I think Arizona Bowl. I might consider those the more likely ones, but it could depend on whether or not the Rate Bowl ends up taking a Mountain West team. Because if they do, then Utah State's definitely going to end up in one of these. And it's probably the Idaho, New Mexico, or Arizona Bowl. But yeah, there's a bunch of different areas they can end up in.
Yeah, so there is no Bahamas Bowl. It does not exist anymore. But there will be.
There's some bowl of an unnamed, so far unsponsored. Is it just going to be the ESPN Events Bowl?
Well,
tell you the biggest letdown. We're going to play in the ESPN Events Bowl.
So I don't know what it is. Some other bowl has taken it. It's whatever it was.
5822 with a suggestion. The Gosner Classic Bowl. I don't know how there isn't a bowl game in Utah. Boise has one. New Mexico has one. Kidding me? You can't get one on one of the amazing
There's
football
not one
fields?
in Colorado either.
Yeah, it's true. It's Colorado and Utah are just way better at being able to host a bowl game as far as having a big airport, obviously, having much better fields. You could play it at Rice Eccles or, at
Mile High.
No, the Lavelle Edwards.
Oh.
I was wanting to call him Lee Edwards for some reason. It's probably just because those stadiums don't want to host a game for some reason. But I don't know why BYU wouldn't want to bring in, it's a missionary tool and yada yada yada. You could have a bowl game in Utah. ESPN owns most of the bowl games, so that's probably why. But Utah could host a bowl game, and I think they'd be pretty good at it.
Yeah. There was a point where the Pac-12 and the Mountain West were in discussions with somewhere in Australia potentially hosting a bowl.
That is a dumb idea.
I thought that's, West Coast-ish conferences. Go to somewhere unique.
That is literally the other side of the world. I'm not kidding.
Bring American football. You got a lot of kickers who are
You're
from
debating
Australia.
whether or not you fly east or west. You're going too far.
I think that would be interesting. I think
especially
that'd be kind of
if it
fun.
was on the west coast of Australia. I don't know. I know basically all of Australia is a bunch of coastal cities because the central part of Australia is just a murderous hole of deadly animals, and it's not exactly easy to live there. But just don't do that. Hawaii Bowl's bad enough. Don't even try Australia.
All right, I got a couple of texts rolling through on this topic. 8968. I'll have to agree that the Spud Dud would be better. I'd been to everyone, played in Idaho. Certainly, Utah State's been there a lot.
Yeah, it's by far
and it's
the
kind of
most common bowl.
lost some of its luster as what it once was. It's exciting to get to a bowl game, but it's easy to get to for fans. It is the best traveled bowl game that Utah State has. Fans can get up there, get tickets, reasonable prices. Gosh, we even had some fans that drove up in the morning and watched the game and then came home, which is crazy, but some people do that. And it's not really that hard. It's cheapest for the university to get to. They just bus the team up there. You don't have to pay for flights. It's the most cost-efficient bowl for Utah State to participate in. But for the fans, yeah, maybe I don't know. I mean,
it's not prestigious.
If it's Boise, would you go, or if you've I've been there, done that enough times?
I mean, I've already made my opinion known. I kind of want to, as much as I think that is the ugliest field I've ever laid eyes upon. It's the
they're good hosts.
Yeah,
it's easy to get to. 9315. I don't know which radio station it came from, but here by Kemmerer, Wyoming, they had a radio station pop up with Christmas music on September 29th. I was about to break my radio. I feel you, Jason. Yeah, that's if they're doing a format flip, then I get it. You try to do something that's really out there to catch people's attention. But if you're just doing it just to do it, that's too early.
That's when you break out the power tools and start taking down some radio
start
towers.
making some signs and protest. I wouldn't advocate for anything illegal like Jason is doing. 5338 texting in. If it makes you feel any better, Eric, I don't rely on anything you say whatsoever.
He's got the 5338 Sports Education Academy and Think Tank predictive AI engine.
You've got your own thing going. Otherwise, man, I got the weight of always being right for you, 5338.
And as I say, if anyone's using my opinions, well, use my opinions at your own risk. But if you use my opinions for sports gambling, then as I've said before, and we'll say again, you deserve what happens to you.
2305. Will the Pac-12 be associated with any new bowls that we're not used to?
Maybe.
And that's a good question. There are still some tie-ins, like based on the schools that left. Even though some schools might be in the Big 10 or in the Big 12, there are still some Pac-12 bowl tie-ins that those schools may still participate in.
We're going to have the Rose Bowl?
Who knows what's happening with the Rose Bowl anymore. But I imagine that's going to start to change over time as the Pac-12 becomes able to facilitate more members of its own conference fulfilling those commitments. But I don't know how often those bowl tie-ins get reevaluated, because with college realignment, you'd think it needs to be taking a second look at who gets what kind of pecking order and what those relationships look like, because it is going to change. There's going to be a lot of change next year.
Las Vegas Bowl still around? Or did they finally end that?
It
one?
Is. No,
so
it is.
I think that's one that it'd be getting back to, because it used to be a Mountain West Bowl. It was Mountain West versus Pac-12.
Yeah.
Then it was Pac-12 versus Big 12. Is that what it went
and
to?
then the LA Bowl became the Mountain West versus Pac-12.
Yeah. So, I don't know if there's going to be like any new bowls. It'll probably just be, you might see some Mountain West bowls migrate over to the Pac-12 and maybe a new one. We'll see. I think there'll be some migration of bowl games to some kind of tie-in with the Pac-12. Although that, of course, that's probably something they're working on. One of the 1,001 things that the Pac-12 has to do with essentially making a new conference. Bowl tie-ins is one of those things they're probably negotiating.
Probably. And I don't know if the Mountain West would be able to fulfill all the bowl tie-ins they have anyway right now.
Yeah, so that's where I think they may see some migration to the Pac-12.
They probably still keep the Hawaii Bowl and the New Mexico Bowl, because those are tied in.
But the Potato Bowl?
The Potato Bowl, that probably migrates over to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I think it very well could.
Let's see, 9315. Idaho is great if they can paint over that ugly blue.
Yeah, that'd be great. Be nice.
They never will.
Be nice if they had an actual grass-colored field, but mass delusion is a thing.
Not going to happen.
Flat earthers exist.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of the latest with bowl projections. As the week continues, that might become a little bit more clear, because there are going to be some cases where bowls will announce these are the teams going to the bowl, to our bowl, because it's not going to matter. Like, their tie-in isn't going to, sit there waiting on what happens in a conference title game. So as we get closer to the weekend, like, these discussions are really happening now. There are these bowls that are sending information to the schools. The schools are deciding if that makes sense for them, if they want to continue that discussion further, or if they want to explore going to a different bowl. So those discussions are now happening now that the bowl season is becoming more clear and how many bowl eligible teams there are. And you will start to see some bowl announcements happen. At least it becoming a little bit more clear, more definitive. They may not be official until next Sunday, but it's going to become a lot more clear kind of what direction this is happening as the week continues on. So Utah State's going bowling. It's just a matter of, do they stay somewhere close to home or they go clear across the country?
Yeah. But we do also have my favorite pseudo bowl game, Army-Navy.
Yeah.
It's on December 13th.
That's true.
I'm probably not going to get to watch that game because of Utah State playing Illinois State.
Isn't LA Bowl on the 13th?
Is that early? I don't know if it barely precedes bowl season, but I know it is kind of in this weird, awkward gap. And it also makes bowl eligibility for these teams kind of awkward.
There are 2 bowl games on the 13th, the Celebration Bowl and the LA Bowl. Seems really early.
So it's part of bowl season, but I always love the Army-Navy game. It's fantastic stuff.
Yes.
I just love the Commander-in-Chief, like that whole series of games. It's underrated, and it's pure college football at this point. It's about the last bastion of pure college football.
Let's shift from football talk to basketball talk.
Do you want to take a break before we do that?
Maybe that is a good time to reset.
We'll take a slightly early break here, and that way we can kind of cleanly transition from our football and bowl discussion into our basketball discussion. We'll get into the Montana State game along with the new net rankings that came out. So we'll have that next here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Ski season is coming, which means Season Ski Rentals. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we have over 20 years of season ski rental experience. We rent to kids and adults. Come in to get season ski rentals for your entire family. We like to wait a little later in the fall because there is a chance your kids might grow out of their boots by the time ski season actually rolls around. You will get the right gear for your kids to ski this year at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan with tons of parking in the back.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center care for your family this year. Be sure to call us for an appointment before the end of the year to make the most of your cafeteria or flex funds. Located in Providence and North Logan, Cache Valley ENT also has offices in Box Elder, Rich, Bear Lake, and Franklin counties. The entire team at Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat wish you and your family a healthy holiday season. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance plans, including Select Health, are accepted.
Old McDarrell has a farm and appliance farm.
With down home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm. An appliance farm. Darrell's Appliance. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Oh, yes. Definitely snow in the mountains. Got even more this weekend. Winter is here. It's not just coming, it's here.
Snow made it out of the mountains for once.
Yes, it did. Down on the valley floor. Young Power Sports Logan is ready for it, and right now they still have blowout pricing on all 2025 Ski-Doo and Polaris snowmobiles. Save up to $6,000 on those rides. And don't forget, Young Power Sports offers free pickup and drop-off for service, plus free preseason checks on all snowmobiles. It's not preseason, like the season is now. They're located just off South Main in Logan. Young Power Sports Logan, where your winter adventure begins. They sponsor our text line, 435-339-0321. 8968 texting in. I went to the basketball game Saturday to hopefully calm down from the game on Friday. Almost didn't work. Yeah, there wasn't much calming down.
Yeah, that was...
The blood pressure was even more elevated, I think.
Yeah, and I don't remember... I don't tend to get, nervous during Utah State games. Just because I try not to be emotionally attached to it anymore, but as part of doing my job. But I was nervous for Utah State. I was like, dang, they might not pull it off. And this was just such a weird game because there's a lot of numbers that indicate Utah State played well. You shoot 47%. You hold Montana State to 39%. You forced 16 turnovers. You got 11 steals. MJ Collins scores 23. Mason Falslev gets 17. Carson Templin gets 15. Drake Allen, he went 0 for 7, but he had 9 assists. There were a lot of things that said, hey, you're not doing too bad, but there were also a lot of things that weren't very pretty. Utah State losing the rebounding battle, allowing 14 offensive rebounds to a team that I think was in the 340s in offensive rebounding percentage before the game. In the second half, they allowed Montana State to shoot much better.
Montana State had 5 blocks.
Yeah.
And all of them at the rim.
Yeah, and in Utah State, they shot 14 of 32, which I think came out to about 47% on shots at the rim, so layups and dunks. So they were, and they've actually been really good at shooting the rim because, I know they have had a lot of shots blocked at the rim, but they were in the 99th percentile before the game in field goal percentage at the rim, where I think it was in the 70s. Where, yeah, sure, they're getting their shots blocked, but a lot of times they were either getting blocked or they were making it. Those were basically their only 2 options. But they were just awful. And yeah, 5 blocks, okay, that's 5 of those, but they missed, 18 beside that? So you missed 13 shots of the rim that weren't blocked. So, and if you threw in those 5 and said they were all makes, they think they still would have been shooting barely over 50%. So they just, I guess it would have been 19 of 32, so which would have been borderline acceptable maybe, but still wouldn't have been good. But you can't exclude the block shots. So that was part of it. So there were a bunch of aspects of this game where the Aggies, were good. I've mentioned a few of them. They only had 10 turnovers, which is going to be below most teams' average. But there were just a lot of ways where they just weren't getting it done. The numbers said they probably should be getting it done, but when you watch the game, it's you almost think Utah State's getting outplayed at certain parts of the game, even though they held the lead for 36 minutes of this game. It always felt like they were dancing on a knife's edge of letting Montana State take a lead and potentially win. And they dang near let it because Montana State took the lead with 55 seconds left. And the Aggies then had to match that and then hold off another, defensive possession. And so they weren't so much playing with fire as they were dancing in it.
Yeah. We wondered going into it how Utah State would handle adversity at different points of the season, how Utah State would handle playing in hostile environments. Well, not that it was a hostile environment at home; it was still a friendly environment, but there was adversity there for Utah State, which they hadn't really faced for an entire stretch of a game. Yes, they had that nice lead that watched it whittle away against VCU, and dug in late to get that win. But this was the most that somebody kind of pushed Utah State to the limits. Utah State still got the win, but there were people online oh man, Utah State avoids a bad loss to Montana State. And yeah, Montana State's not really great in the net, but look what they've done to just about everybody else that they've played this year. Boise State, they pushed them to the wire, ended up losing by 4. They pushed Denver to the wire, lose by 2. They pushed Colorado Buffaloes, and they lose that one by only 6. They played Stanford pretty tough. The games that they'd lost, they'd played them really, really tough. This wasn't a pushover team by any means. They don't have the wins to back it up, but this was a tough team coming into the matchup, and I wasn't surprised to see Montana State playing it close. When I saw the line, Utah State favored by 16.5, I laughed because that's not how Montana State has played against anybody so far this season.
Yeah, they have played some teams really well, and I guess the expectation was hey, look, you're supposed to be better than Colorado. You're supposed to be better than Stanford. You're ranked higher than all 3 of those teams. Don't have to go to overtime in what is supposed to be the best home environment of any of those teams. I think Coach Calhoun was hoping that his team would perform better. Having seen because Colorado would have been caught off guard, Stanford caught off guard, Boise maybe should have been caught off guard, but at that point they were playing a team that was 1-3, and Coach Calhoun tried telling his team all week, hey, this is a good team, because when they were gearing up for a VCU team, Utah State came to play. Sure, they let it go a little bit at the end of the game, but they came to play against VCU. They brought their A game.
Mm-hmm.
When they were gearing up for what they knew were going to be good Davidson and good Tulane and Davidson teams, started a bit slow on defense against Tulane, but still started well on offense, and then ran away with in the second half, and then just blew the doors off of Davidson. And they should have done similar. Now, 20, 30 points, that's, you're not necessarily going to do that to every team, but really should have. They should have won this game by double digits. They should have, played a lot better on offense and defense. So Montana State is a good team. You can't be chalking that up and say that, going to overtime at home to a Big Sky team, it's hard to just write that off as, Montana State's a good team, because because Utah State's supposed to be a way better team.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. Like Utah State is way better than what they played. They were good enough to beat Montana State when the Aggies didn't play as well, which is a showcase of the Aggies' talent, but great teams aren't going to let that happen too much, and we've already seen it twice out of the Aggies, once against Weber State and once against Montana State team. Apparently something about these Big Sky teams who, mind you, people talk about how they're going to be, maybe better than expected, but like Weber State's might not end up in the top 200 of Ken Palmer. I don't know where they're at in the net. And in Montana State, like both of these are going to be quad 4 games. And you got to be winning those quad 4 games by a lot, and they just did not.
Montana State 165 in the inaugural net. Weber State 182.
Yeah, so I guess they are top. They're 210 in Ken Palmer, top 200 though in net. So it's like that. But yeah, they're probably both gonna at most get to like 150 in the net. But you've got to, because beating teams like Weber State and Montana State at home by 10, or even sneaking out a game in overtime, that's the kind of stuff that a lot of the rest of the Mountain West is doing, and we're criticizing the Mountain West for it, for not playing well in some of these games. Utah State, who's trying to be better than that, be an NCAA tournament team, you don't want to be doing that. And it's good that Utah State gets a win. Like I don't want to sound like I'm being pessimistic, because maybe it's Coach Calhoun rubbing off on me, where he has not been happy with the way they played in that game. But it is good that they're 7-0. But as we were kind of saying after the Weber State game, there are bigger and better things, and there are going to be bigger and better teams that Utah State plays, and they need to prepare themselves for that. So ideally, they learn from their wins here. And it's better to learn from your wins than from your losses. So, like, there is a positive that needs to be emphasized here. But much like after Weber State and now with Montana State, we saw a version of the Aggies that is not their ideal. We saw much closer to that with Tulane and Davidson, and that's why sky's not falling, not that worried. We saw 3 straight games of the Aggies playing dang near their peak. With UTEP, they weren't playing at their peak on offense, but close to it on defense. And then against Tulane and Davidson. We've seen this team close to their peak more often than we've seen them close to their floor. So that needs to be emphasized. But when you see a team play close to their floor, you point it out, hope they change it, because you got a big one against South Florida coming up.
Let's see, 8968. Let's get back to the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. 8968 says Utah State just got out-hustled in that basketball game. And I think there's a good part of that. Utah State was a little bit sluggish. Not totally on point with their execution. 7994, Coach Calhoun called out his players, and rightfully so. They played like they had turkeys tied to their feet. Officiating was horrible, but not an excuse. This team may need a wake-up call before conference play begins. I have to admit that Templin stepped up his game in the second half, and credit Montana State for hitting critical three-pointers. We could have played better, according to Coach.
Yeah, that was crazy. And yeah, the officiating, I try not to say much about the officiating, but it was weird. There were so many bad calls in that game, and I'm thinking of ones that favored Utah State. I know there were some that were ticky-tack against Utah State, but like there was one where Gary Clark literally goes straight up and gets called for a foul. Then on like the next play, MJ Collins jumps up and lands on a guy's shoulder and doesn't get called for a foul. Like,
yeah, there was some
going
weird
on?
stuff in the second half that they called it things one way, but not another. There was just some odd plays.
Well, then and there was one that Mason got away with
non-calls.
where Mason slapped the ball out of a guy's hands and they called it out of bounds on Montana State. Like Utah State
the out
got
of
away
bounds
with
stuff
some,
was weird.
Yeah, Utah State got away with, like I want to emphasize, they got away with some stuff and they got, nailed on stuff that they shouldn't have been. And I haven't gone through to do a deep dive, but like that was some really bad officiating.
Yeah.
And Utah State benefited from it too. So I don't think it really impacted the game much because Utah State benefited from some bad officiating.
It went both ways. 6436. Yes, we are under a gag order. We have sworn secrecy. We cannot discuss the topic that you posed.
No, we just
in
missed
the text line.
We just missed. I forgot. I think we clicked on it, and then Eric probably skipped it because we clicked
They have
on
a
it.
vial of our blood. No, just kidding.
Yeah, speak for yourself. But the earlier text that we forgot from 6436 is about bowl saying some projections have Washington State in the Potato Bowl. Isn't the MAC an automatic tie into that bowl? And asking, is there any chance we get a Utah State versus Washington State Potato Bowl matchup in Boise?
I don't think so. I don't think that the Pac-12 has any ties to the Potato Bowl.
And it would depend if the MAC has enough bowl eligible teams, which I just haven't looked into, so I couldn't answer that without digging into it further.
Yeah, because as we said, they'll have primary conference tie-ins. They'll have secondary conference tie-ins. I think Washington State, Oregon State, they have their tie-ins. I don't know if they'll go that deep. But it would be fun if it were to take place.
They could be pretty nice.
Yeah, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. 9315. A couple texts coming in here. At the end of regulation, Mason made the right move by throwing the ball up for Carson to dunk, tap it in, just a second too late to prevent overtime. I think this team has so much natural talent and potential that at times they love playing with a fire, but if they hurry and get over themselves, we should be just fine. And then as in I mean USU basketball and the fans. With the herd gone, the other really made it a harsh, loud environment.
Coach Calhoun took I don't want to say shot at the herd, but was wondering where are they? And it's like, and I tried to bring this up as we turned the mics off and he's going on because I tried to defend the herd saying, well, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, students are away.
That's why they're not there. And I would hope he'd understand because family's more important than basketball. And so to any member of the herd, to prioritize their family over basketball, you have my full blessing.
Yeah, well, and there's
not that they really need it, but
there's some members of the herd students who are from around here.
Yeah, if they're from around here,
up there.
Like if you can still make it, but if you leave, and if you're turning your back, it's harsh to say it that way, but don't think that you're turning your back on USU basketball to spend Thanksgiving weekend with your family.
Yeah, if you're hours away, then. You're not I don't.
Yeah, the reason I keep whining
about any student for not being there.
The reason I keep whining about not wanting to go to the first responder bowl is because I may or may not be able to spend a decent chunk of Christmas with my family. That's the emphasis there. It's to me, family is more important than sports, and that's why I get a little annoyed with some of these holiday games.
2305 before we hit a timeout. Jason, you said you're a numbers guy. But this is a lesson. The numbers didn't add up because Montana State just played well. They had three guys that could shoot three-pointers that kept them in the game.
Yeah, the weird thing, though, is that people talk about how Montana State shot well in three-pointers. They started the game 1 of 16 from three. You got to emphasize, they shot horribly from three. But they shot better in the second half, and that certainly helped them there. But the thing is, they shot horribly from three, and they were within 3 points.
Yeah, they were still within striking distance.
Yeah. So the thing is, when I talk about the numbers, obviously this is a game where the numbers don't always add up. You can nitpick and say, well, Utah State shot 18 of 26 at the free throw line, the offensive rebounds. You can find the numbers somewhere because they do add up to one team getting points and one team not getting points. But yeah, I do agree with the sentiment that this was a game that the numbers really don't show what happened. They can kind of indicate it to a degree, but there was a lot that happened on film that I don't think shows up as much on numbers because I don't think Utah State's offense really played that well, but almost every metric has them playing well. But I just don't think they did relative to what they can. So it is a lesson that you cannot rely wholly on numbers. But to toot my own horn a little bit, I was already fairly familiar with that. lesson.
All right, we're going to take a time out here on the Full Court Press, but when we come back, speaking of numbers, the newest net rankings are out for the start of the season. Where is Utah State on this list? Where are other Mountain West schools? What are the latest standings? As we look at the current landscape of college basketball in the Mountain West, a couple of schools kind of surprising near the top of the standings right now, and some other teams surprising to see how low they are in the standings. Do we have a total changing of the guard going on in basketball in the final year of the Mountain West? We'll take a look at that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
It's back. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan is having our annual Pick a Pearl event. If you've attended this in the past, you know how much fun we have. And if you haven't come before, you don't want to miss this exciting event.
Still, only $10. Pick your oyster,
Open it that day, or save it for that stocking stuffer surprise.
mark your calendar Friday and Saturday, December 12th and 13th.
Pick a Pearl at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Look for the bright green cars.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Holiday parties and events at the Riverwoods Conference Center offer a festive and fun holiday atmosphere. Paired with catering from Elements Restaurant, your special occasion can include tasty hors d'oeuvres, delicious entrees, and decadent desserts that always deliver excellence. Now accepting reservations for this holiday season. The Riverwoods Conference Center and Elements Restaurant easily accommodate large or small events. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-5151.
Addiction does not discriminate. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, you're not alone. There is hope out there. Renaissance Ranch has been teaming up to provide a place for healing. They understand themselves how powerful it is to overcome addiction. If you've lost hope or if you're scared for someone you love, there is a way back. Renaissance Ranch is there to help you out. You can learn more by going to renaissanceranch.net or visiting their location right here in Logan.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, and you. Had some great interaction on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line tonight. Always love to interact with you guys in real time. But of course, if you're listening to this podcast on your time, feel free to text in a question or comment when you're listening, and we'll try to get to it best we can next time we're together on the air. 435-339-0321. That's the line you can text. And the inaugural net rankings were released today, this morning. First, before we get into the numbers, Jason, is this an appropriate time for these numbers to be released? Should they wait a little bit longer, or has there been enough body of work to start to rank teams based on these metrics?
I mean, it's a start. I mean, if you're going like, what would be ideal to have enough sample size to truly like be able to rely on the rankings? I'd probably say when most teams have played like 12 or 13 games. But after 7 or 8 that a lot of these teams have played, yeah, there's going to be some small sample size noise. And I think a lot of the Mountain West teams are kind of victims of some small sample size noise, and the Aggies very much benefiting from that small sample size.
But at this point, teams have played home games, they've played away games, they've played in a multi-team event or some neutral site stuff.
They'll have played some tough teams, they'll have played some weak teams. So sure, there's a bit of noise, there's some outliers, but it's enough to start, and it's something that fans can start talking about. So while they are very much imperfect, just release them at this point. It's fine.
So Utah State comes in as the highest ranked school out of the Mountain West in the net rankings, coming in at number 22. And they're the only team in the top 50 in the Mountain West.
Yeah. And 3 guesses who the other team in the top 60 is?
Yeah, I would not have guessed that.
No.
It's Wyoming coming in at number 59. Now, you would suspect, San Diego State's got to be up there, right? No, they are further down the list. They are 123.
That might be the lowest San Diego State has been in the net in a while.
Long time.
I'd have to go back and search some things to see.
Maybe 2021. Saw something about the lowest ranked teams in the inaugural RPI or in the net who still made the NCAA tournament. There was a text about that last night that I saw. I'll have to go back and dig that out. But Utah State at 22, Wyoming 59, Colorado State at 66, Boise State at 80. Those are your 4 teams out of the Mountain West in the top 100.
Yeah, so it's not very friendly.
And nobody in the Mountain West has a quad 1 win.
Yeah, that's what made it hurting Utah State and some of the other teams is they just, no quad, like Utah State hasn't even played a quad 1 game, and everyone else is winless in those. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky for the Mountain West. They've got to stack a lot of wins, and they're starting from a pretty low position. Except for Utah State, they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, Aggies are looking good. It's amazing what happens when you win.
Yeah, well, and win by a lot.
You don't lose.
That's why Utah State, being 6-0 obviously really helps. But say they lost to VCU, but had still blown out everybody else. Say they lost to VCU, but beat Weber and Montana State each by 30, they'd probably still be ranked as high as they are.
Yeah.
Because as I've said repeatedly, and this is part of why I don't actually like the net as much as other rankings, even though for some reason it's the one we base everything off of, the net gives you style points to the extreme. I don't know if they have a cutoff I think they're supposed to have a cutoff for if you beat a team by so much, it stops counting. Beating a team by 30 and by 60 would mathematically be the same. I'm not sure if they do. I'd have to go back and look at their methodology, but you can
There is some threshold.
Yeah, but if you have a lot of games where you win by 20, 30 points, you get tons of credit for that, where you don't get the same credit in KenPom or Hazometrics. And I think those metrics are right by doing that. Because they just end up being these outliers that push their ranking higher than maybe it should be. But it's good for Utah State. The net loves Utah State and has for a long time.
Interesting information that is shared with the inaugural report. Looking at what's your net rank, but what about your opponents? What's their average net rank of your opponents that you've faced so far? Utah State's average opponent net rank, I should say, 157. Wyoming's 81. Boise State, 7. Nevada, 35. San Diego State, 54. So there are some teams here in the Mountain West that have played decently challenging schedule to this point. But the big surprises in the net, San Diego State at 123, Grand Canyon at 163, and UNLV at 221. With all the hype that Josh Pastner was getting, and this was going to be the year for UNLV basketball, hasn't materialized yet. And the Aztecs struggling early as well.
Yeah, and the Aztecs, I think, just comes from they have 3 solid wins as far as margin, and the highest ranked team they've done that against is Idaho State. Oregon coming in at 192, and then that was a team they beat by 17, but getting 40-piece by Michigan, as much as Michigan is looking like, holy cow, that might be a freaking team.
That's a wagon right there.
Yeah, but because they also boat raced Gonzaga, so and I think also by 40. So San Diego State's in, I guess, good company there. Then you lose to a solid Baylor team, but still lost to them by 1. And then the Troy loss is probably the biggest thing. If they hadn't lost to Troy, they might have probably still snuck into the top 100. But yeah, that loss to Troy at home, that's quad 3 loss isn't going to feel good.
Utah State, as we mentioned, no quad 1 games as of yet. 2-0 in quad 2, 4-0 in Quad 4. But the Mountain West not looking like its best season. And this is a league that has routinely sent at least 4 teams to the NCAA tournament. That's to the first month of play. It does not look like that's going to happen.
Yeah, so like I like to average out a bunch of the rankings. I put it on Twitter on Monday or Tuesday whenever I get around to it. And Utah State's looking good. Their average rank is 33. The net obviously came out, which actually isn't even the highest ranking. Somebody has them at 19. I forget who has them at 19. But they're ranked really high in a lot of these. I think they're in the top 40 in every single one. Oh, excuse me, one has them at 51. But they're top 40 in just about all of them, and top 20 in some of them, or top 25. But after Utah State, who again their average rank is 33, you have Colorado State at 74.1. And if you look at the NCAA tournament, your average rank usually needs to be in like the 50s for an at-large. 50s or higher, obviously. And so Colorado State, the second highest average ranking, is 74.1. San Diego State, 79.7. Boise State, 93.6, although that's because KPI hates them. KPI ranks Boise State 255th.
Ooh.
Which is absurd. That is small sample size, and I think they're...
Are they taking into account that loss?
I think they actually are. I think they are either the only one to actually include that as far as as being part of the calculation, because I think a lot of others just throw out D2 games saying it's usually an outlier, so we're just not going to include it one way or the other, or they're just way more harsh about it, where it's really impacting them. But yeah, so if you throw out the KPI hating Boise State, they're pretty much right in the same mix in the 70s in terms of their average rank with Colorado State and San Diego State. So you have one team right now in the Mountain West, if you look at the average rankings, is an at-large team. Everyone else is on the bubble. If they're on the bubble, they might not even be on it, and on the wrong side of not being on it. But if they were, they'd be on the outside looking in. And yeah, there's still a lot of basketball to play. And these metrics, some of them, like the net, don't have enough sample size because there's no preseason bias. This is based on what games you have played, and that is it. And I think KPI is similar because it's why it hates Boise State. And then the others, like Ken Palm and all the rest, they still have preseason, bias in there. So there's some imperfection on these rankings, but it's the best that we have to work with so far. And what we have so far is a 1-bid Mountain West or a 2-bid if Utah State weren't to win the conference tournament title. So, and yeah, it's not looking particularly fantastic for the Mountain West.
No, and it's, I don't know everybody's schedule between now and when conference begins, but I don't know that the Mountain West really has any other premier opportunities to steal wins to beef up its resume. So all they can do right now is just stack wins if they can. And a couple of those top teams just have to get rolling. And based on, you might need a few teams to do the heavy lifting for everybody else. San Diego State has done that before, where because of their schedule and how good they were, they gave other teams in the conference quad 1 opportunities just because of what they did on their own. They kind of pulled everybody else along. I don't know if Utah State's going to have that same level of gravity, but right now it's not looking great for the Mountain West in the early going.
7854 before we go to break, saying, which side of your mouth are you talking out of, Jason? On one hand, the net rankings are out too early, but on the other, you're saying the Aggies aren't playing up to par. Why even play the game if it's all about the metrics and numbers? This is a young team and still learning to play together. There will be an ugly loss coming up. I talk about the net rankings coming out early because I said I didn't care that they're out too early as far as the sample size, but I don't know if I explained myself well enough, but I did say that we saw Utah State playing at its peak in 3 straight games, and then they didn't play well against Montana State.
You need games played to get the metrics and the numbers. So I'm not sure I totally follow the. Yeah,
and I do agree there'll be an ugly loss coming up, but we shouldn't overreact to an ugly loss because Utah State's going to have games where they stink it up because that's just humans being human. We've seen Utah State be a human team and that they are inconsistent. The key is playing at their peak more often than they play at their floor, which we've seen them do both. Well, we've not seen them play at their floor because they'll lose. But
2 notable stinkers, and they still found ways to win.
Yeah, and they still won. And then we have 3 games where they played fantastic. I'm not excluding, if we include Westminster, that's 4. And then VCU where they played fantastic for like 3/4 of the game. So this is a good Utah State team. That's why I kept having to emphasize that, even though I sounded negative early on. This is a good Utah State team. They just didn't play well against Montana State, and that's okay. Just don't do it again, or don't do it too much, because they will do it again. Just don't do it too much.
All right, take a time out here in the Full Court Press. A lot more to discuss. Love to get your reactions as well as we look at the current standings, the latest net rankings, and where the Utah State sits in the Mountain West. 435-339-0321.
This is Catherine Buse with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account. If you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Are you worried about the high Medicare supplement premiums or wondering what your prescription costs will be next year? There are so many Medicare options and it can feel overwhelming. That's why I'm here to help guide you through every choice. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493 to talk to a licensed local agent. No pressure, no cost, just clear personal advice you can trust. Don't wait. Changes must be made by December 7th. Call 752-9493 today.
Winter's rolling in. Cold, snow, wind, but Mother Nature can't cancel us. At Top Shed, we build custom sheds year-round, right on site in northern Utah, southern Idaho, and Wyoming. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, doesn't matter. We don't shut down. We show up, we build. So if you need storage, workplace, or a backyard upgrade, don't wait for spring. Top Shed builds in any weather. Top Shed, making sheds great again. Call 435-760-7766 or visit topshedusa.com.
Looking for a luxurious local space to host your next gathering? The Hive Event Center in downtown Logan brings modern elegance to your wedding, private party, or business event. Your guests will be amazed at the glamorous design, and you'll benefit from the advanced tech included in every rental, from DIY parties to full-service packages. 255 South Main in Logan behind Beehive Grill. Luxury lives here. The Hive is your place to gather.
Luxury lives here. Luxury lives here. The Hive.
See us online at thehivelogan.com.
Need a great deal near USU? Mention Aggie 79 and score a room at the Baum Hotel for just $79. Enjoy charming, homey hospitality in downtown Logan. You'll love the clean, spacious rooms and friendly, attentive staff. Take advantage of free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and a seasonal outdoor pool. At that price, it can't be beat. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Hotel. Value every day of the week. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Future conference mates in the new Pac-12. Where do they land in the net? Gonzaga at number 5. Washington State 225. Oregon State
just a little further out
265. Texas State 271.
Is it really worth breaking up the Mountain West so we could join Washington State and Oregon State?
Oh man, they're just.
I feel like they're going to be the anchors.
Really fallen off when that.
They're going to be the
collapsed.
new anchors of the pack. Like seriously, like that's the way things feel like they're headed. Unless they really get their act together, they're basically going to become the new San Jose and in New Mexico and all that. Heck, New Mexico is doing better in both of those. So it's like gosh dang it. Gonzaga obviously will very much play. Is it worth it to leave behind the Mountain West but gain Gonzaga, but now you have Washington State, Oregon State, who are these high and mighty, act like they own the world in the Pac-12, but like.
You got to
but the way they're playing right now, unless they turn things around, they become the new bottom feeders that you ran away from.
Yeah, you got away from a few dogs, but you picked up a few more.
Yeah, like, and I don't know, Utah State had their bad years, so like I don't want to judge Washington State and Oregon State's program based off what they are now, but they are what they are now with giant budgets. What's going to happen when their budget gets really cut? Yeah, 935 mentioned Gonzaga. I don't know if Gonzaga comes to the Mountain West, if it's this reverse merger, or they merge the Pac-12 or the Mountain West, but like.
Oh yeah, I mentioned Gonzaga first, but that's okay.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. It remains an interesting thing. I don't think anyone's going to regret going to the Pac-12, but it's like, losing the basketball thing. For football, it's going to be better in the long run. For basketball, well, even in basketball, it's going to be better.
Oregon State's had a decent basketball tradition.
Yeah, because I guess that's the thing. I actually misspoke there, because basketball is actually going to be the place where it's most worth it.
Yes.
Because with Gonzaga, and you are really cutting out a lot of the bottom feeders. I should correct myself there. That's where it's probably going to be the most worth it. Football, it may be iffy. We'll see. Especially if they get another good basketball-only school.
Yeah, they may not be done.
Yeah, there's certainly some rumors there, but we'll see how things go.
But Utah State coming in at number 22. So solid for Utah State as a first entrant. The first inaugural net rankings are released. But it's also, one of the things that they're showing more is net rank, average opponent net rank, but also like, what's your net strength of schedule? What's your win above bubble rank?
Is that like actually truly out? Because they have that listed on some things, but I don't know if I found where that's at.
Yes, it's on the NCAA site.
Is it? Because I've been doing like an average ranks, and they're all like kind of predictive metrics type thing. But I also want to do like an average like resume rank, which that's what the wins above bubble, strength of record. That's what a lot of those are, obviously.
Yeah, Utah State's non-conference wins above bubble rank is 21. Wyoming's is 81. Boise State is 74. New Mexico is 90. And then Colorado State is 137. Grand Canyon at 140, just to give you an idea of some of the top teams there. But the bottom line here is Utah State, they won a nail-biter, a game that was closer than it should have been. Good chance to learn some important lessons, because they've got two important games coming up. The Utah State has been away from home, but they have not had a road game, a true road game yet. They get that in their next couple of games.
Yeah, and this South Florida game is one I think a lot of people have overlooked, because they looked at what South Florida was last year. This is a good South Florida team that has players that have the potential to cause Utah State problems. In particular, they got a center whose name I'm suddenly forgetting. His first name is, I think, Isaiah, and it's spelled weird. I think it's pronounced Isaiah. But a wiry big who grabs a lot of rebounds, blocks a lot of shots, and can also score the bucket. And then they've got like four other guys averaging like 12-plus points. And
Isaiah Nelson?
Yeah, Isaiah Nelson. Where I think like this South Florida game and probably VCU are your two biggest chances at a non-conference quad one game.
This South Florida team, they score a ton of points.
Yeah, and a lot of that is pace. They're a super fast-paced team. Their offensive rating is actually lower than the Aggies. The Aggies, by the numbers, have a better offense, but South Florida plays so dang fast, and that's the thing that can be taxing on your defense. So we'll see how the Aggies handle that. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game, and one of the most important, because we've seen how a lot of these things aren't working out, strength of schedule-wise. You got to make do with what you got.
Yeah, critical that you get these kinds of wins. That's going to do it for us tonight on the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the show.
The home for Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.